My name is Michelle Washington, TV style expert and fashion stylist. I've worked with countless brands and seen the ins and outs of the fashion industry. Now, I want to bring their stories to you. Join me as we take a deeper look at the journeys of Texas fashion designers and apparel industry professionals and learn just what it takes to make it as a brand.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Seams. I am your host, Michelle Washington, and do not adjust your screens because the fashion revolution is being televised. Today, I am sitting down with our guest from Amberleaf, two unique designers and a baby designer. I'm sitting down with mother-daughter team from Amberleaf, Lisa and Liz. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Thank you
for having us.
Really appreciate this opportunity to talk about Amberleaf.
Oh, let me tell you, I'm so happy you are here because now I get to hear the details. Well, first off, where are you from?
Well, I'm from her, so she can, go for it.
Okay,
Mom.
yeah.
Yes.
I actually was born not far from here many years ago. However, I'm from Austin originally.
All right.
And but I meandered around the U.S., eventually landing in Houston, where I met her dad. And Liz joined us in Boston when we were there for my husband's graduate school, and then we came back to Texas. But we've been in Austin since 1998. So Liz went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and then college when you went to Texas State here in Central Texas.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit more complicated. But grew up here in Austin for my almost my entire childhood, except for a short amount of time in Houston, and went around to a couple different places for college, University of Miami as well as Texas State. So kind of got the full college experience. Ended up back here. Well, my husband and I relocated to Arizona for a couple of years, and then he followed me here. So we decided to move back. So I'm here, and this is baby number 3, and my husband is home with 1 and 2. So I'm keeping it calm for you guys.
Okay. But of course, in true designer style, you're looking dynamite, fabulous.
Thank you.
Tell me more about this founder's story, a mother-daughter design team.
Well, things evolve, and we certainly were, when it comes to Amberleaf, opportunistic. So we have a partner. His name is Stanley. Stanley started production and was selling into China, and we were introduced to this production and design ethos back in 2014. So I think of Amberleaf as being a 10-year-old company now in 2024. And I went to China by myself and kind of did due diligence as far as, did I like what was being produced? Did I like the skill set involved? What did we think of the fabrics? And then we eventually became the primary owners and started selling Amberleaf into the U.S. market in 2014-15, and also took over the design responsibility. Liz will talk a little bit more about the design, but the biggest issue when I did the due diligence had to do with the quality and capability of the folks on the production line, and I call them tailors, as well as the quality of what they were producing, like their standards, etc. Now all of our designs are produced by Liz and I. The other advantage, though, we had of starting production in China is it was easier for us to have 2 sizes we produce. So we have the ability to produce petite sizes and standard sizes. So just kind of evolved baby steps where 2014 we got involved, brought it to the States, tried to get some traction in the US. And to be honest, at times, and part of I think our story is perseverance, things slowed down a bit when in 2016 I had breast cancer, and then in 2020 my breast cancer metastasized to my brain and had brain cancer. But it was convenient that I did brain cancer and COVID all at the same time because no one was buying anything. But let's get back to happy stuff. Liz joined Amberleaf, and really I think we turned the tide in 2017, 16. It was late 16, early 17 when you joined us. And I just think we really turned the tide on the brand, on the design, on the everything. Why don't you talk about that?
Sure, yeah. You know, I think Amberleaf as a brand really evolved and became what it is today. You know, when I joined the team with my mom, because I think I wanted to get into this on the next question because I know what your next question is, what makes you different. So I had something planned for that. But what I was going to say was, you know, having a mother-daughter approach, having two perspectives, two generations when it comes to designing anything, and when it comes to having offerings for people of multiple ages or multiple generations, I think is what has made us successful, because now we have a wide array of audiences that we're serving, rather than, although, you know, my mother's taste in fashion and her designs are fantastic, having somebody who's coming at it from a different perspective, a younger perspective, the audience, the women out there who are my age, who are interested in the types of clothing that I'm interested in, have responded much more strongly since I joined the team.
Oh, 100%.
Which has helped with sales, obviously.
I think the age gap between mother and daughter helps encompass two different yet unique and at the same time target customers.
Right.
I believe we were talking about this earlier, where if your customer has a certain taste, then your customer takes that unique style, that individual design, and puts their own styling spin on it.
Definitely.
And that is one of the parts where I'm like, wow, you've lasted 10 years. That's longer than a lot of companies.
Yeah. I think it's because what Liz said, the multi-generationer. I like to tell the story. Of course, when I'm out in the public, part of our display isn't a photo of me and Liz, because we are multi-generational. I like to say we have this tuxedo jacket that Liz designed called the Freddy, and I would put it with the white silk blouse, but you might put it with a band t-shirt that you've done the tie-dye to.
Yeah. So, and I think, you know, that really goes into what makes us different, and, you know, plays along into why we've been successful, is having this sustainability approach where we want these foundational pieces that can be reworn in a multitude of ways depending on what your style is or how you're feeling that day, and it still looks good. I have a blazer that I can wear with a band t-shirt or over a dress when I'm going to the ballet, and it still works. It doesn't look like it's a garment that's out of place. So being able to have one garment that you can wear in all of these different areas and it still works and is well made, is sustainable. I don't have to go out and buy 4 different pieces to fill this one need, because this one item can show up in all these different areas.
And I think that's where the quality helps. I was doing a conference not long ago, and someone came up to me and said, and we are still selling the same jacket. I bought this jacket from you. I think it was 4 or 5 years previously. She goes, I still get compliments and it looks like it's brand new. And I think that goes to the quality of the craftsmanship and the quality of the materials, the textiles we use in the production. And when Liz mentioned sustainability, I think it's important to also say it's not like we carry necessarily size runs. Our production philosophy is we buy bolts of fabric. This is what I'm wearing is one of our staples in a polyester cotton. We have bolts of this red, black, navy, green. What am I missing? White, yes. But for those bolts of fabric, we probably have like 26 to, you know, just approximately 26 different silhouettes we make out of that same fabric. And so we have sample set that's large so we can make sure we find the right sizing for our clients, but we don't have size runs in the background. So we get the order, then we make the jacket for the consumer. And so we don't have a lot of waste. We're also not devaluing the brand. We're not going out in the marketplace and trying to find, you know, discount merchants to sell off our stuff, because we're sitting here with lots of inventory. And that's also worked out well when we've called on retail customers, folks buying from us wholesale. We don't require that they buy a size run. We require that they make a minimum commitment. Let's say it's 20 pieces, but we're agnostic as to which 20 pieces. And that just, within, our fabric choices and our silhouettes, it just means that we're not, we hope, we're not filling up
Landfills.
yes, with our stuff. Hopefully not.
Things aren't getting thrown away.
They're not.
I really like the fact that Amberleaf has taken, even before it became a part of our industry language, you're sustainable.
We were always that way.
You took ahead the future aspects of what fashion was doing, which we're saying filling up landfills. They say, and we've heard it said, that we have this huge carbon footprint as an industry, but you're not filling up a warehouse full of clothes waiting for a home. You wait until the customer says, this is what I want. Do you have it in this color? And then these are handmade.
They are. I will say though, and my mom covered this a little bit earlier, because we make sizes standard and petite, we can fit pretty much everybody. But because it's not custom sizing, it's not bespoke, if for whatever reason somebody does order something, it comes in, they put it on, and they say, this is not what I wanted, this is not what I was expecting, we do take returns. So any extra or excess clothing that we have is from situations like that. And usually those pieces either turn into samples or we can sell them.
Yeah, it's the right answer. Now, I must admit, the most recent, we do support a lot of nonprofits around the state of Texas, so we'll donate an item, and what that means for the winner of that is that's a credit, we make them something. But Liz was associated earlier this year with Dress for Success, and we did donate, I guess, 2 rolling racks of clothing, because we used to do more dresses, and we're not doing dresses anymore. It's just a harder fit block, and our margins aren't as good. We mostly just focus on coats and jackets. And I mean, we'll do, if someone orders a skirt or a pant to go with the jacket or coat, we do that as well.
Yeah.
But right, it was like 2 rolling racks, and I feel like that was a good way to go there, because we were outfitting women in quality construction and appropriate clothes for the workplace environment, and that's part of what Dress for Success does, right?
It is, yeah.
Well, I have to say, I like the styling idea of the tie-dye and band shirt with one of the Amberleaf pieces, and maybe even a tulle skirt. Someone's out there thinking of my idea of styling already. It's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Well, very well.
Well, thank you. But what I also love is that you've kept your customers in mind. You think of them first. So with that said, what is a normal average day for Amberleaf?
Well, I think, and I'm going to let Liz address part of this too, but I think just there's a lot of, to steal a phrase, behind the seams or scene, things that go on for us to be doing what we're doing. And I'm the one in charge of like all the production as far as making sure we have the right samples, we have things in the right colors. When we get orders, we make all that happen. We don't have a brick and mortar. We're online, amberleaf.com, and then Liz manages our social media accounts. But we do a lot of pop-ups, and all those, it seems more and more, especially the right targeted ones, take a lot of runway. So we may be thinking, we want to do this week-long pop-up in November because it's coats and jackets and people are more mindful of making those purchases, whether it be for themselves or for gifts. We're applying for those shows in February and March. And then we find out in May or June if we got in, and then you have all the, we have to have insurance, we have to have the right facilities, we have to have the right equipment, we have to have the right display. Wow. It's as complicated as what you're doing to make this filming happen, but it's over a long run to make that happen.
Yeah, I was going to add too, I think a part of it as well, because we are entering our busy season right now, especially since we've pivoted a bit away from dresses and towards blazers and jackets and coats. As we enter the holiday season, the colder months, we really see an uptick in events and sales. So a big piece of that, not just coordinating the events and making sure we have everything we need, but also making sure that we're up to date on the designs that we want to display. So making sure that if we have, okay, Mom, are we thinking 3 or 4 new coat designs that we want to introduce this season? Are we ready to do that? Do we have the fabric we need? Do we need to order any new fabric?
New colors.
Like what seems to be popular. I mean, this is months in advance, us getting together and making executive decisions, and setting the groundwork so that when we have these events,
Opportunities, yeah.
we have the designs that we want to display, and we have offerings for our customers that they might be interested in.
One of the things that we deal with as an industry is the trends. How do you deal with that?
Well, like Liz said, the designs.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to things that are trendy and coming from a sustainable play where we want to offer foundational pieces that'll work in, many scenarios, what we try to do is design a piece that might have a trend flair. So there might be a flutter sleeve, or there might be a drop shoulder. There might be a little essence of a trend in a specific design, but we don't go full out into it. We're not, we're not doing the weird holes. We're not.
No, please, no weird.
We do pieces that can still be considered foundational pieces, but if you just love a bell sleeve, we do offer that as well. So we have pieces that are foundational but maybe have a trend flair, but don't go full for
and
it.
To that end, we do stick with solids. So all of our fabric choices are solids. We never do prints. The challenge
We've tried with prints.
It doesn't work because not in coats and jackets, but in dresses. The problem is the prints. I think date the garment and make it look 21, for example, and it's 2024.
Also, I will say this: we have tried prints before. I can't remember if it was a houndstooth or
Oh
what
yeah,
it was.
I mean that coat.
So so when we get our our fabric samples, they only give you this little square.
Right.
It's a huge book of squares, tiny fabric squares that you get to choose from. And so I was like, I think it's a black and white plaid, very classy.
We were thinking like buffalo check.
It'll be beautiful. It'll be very classic, and then it comes in and it's not black and white plaid. It's black and white, turquoise,
and purple.
And it was just not the statement that it wasn't as a classic as we were hoping
and
for.
That only happened with one coat, which is why we order these samples in advance to see what they look like. We also, our pattern maker is also overseas where production is, and we have done, kind of live feeds, Zoom calls, if you will, so we can see as she's making the muslin how that's coming together for new designs. For our current silhouettes, for our current, and I think of all of our patterns as our intellectual property. For our current IP, I don't have to worry about that. And the other thing about for the customers, more personalized experiences on some of our silhouettes that have like patch pockets, we do give the consumer the option with pocket, without pocket. We came across some fabric a number of years ago that was two-tone. Is still double-faced cashmere wool blend, but it's two-tone. So we have one that's been very popular here. It's camel on one side and kind of a burnt orangey-ish on the other side, and that's been popular. Red and black, which is popular in some parts of Texas and the U.S., and that at times can be considered trendy. But like I just sold one of those black and red, and the customer, we usually just stick the patch pockets on one side so that it's not too much bulk on your hips. But one customer's like, well, I want pockets on all the sides because they are reversible. So I was like, no problem. I'll put pockets anywhere you want. So we do give them the ability to do some customization, but it's not to the point where someone can come to us and say, I want this color on this coat or this jacket. It doesn't work that way because it takes quite a while for our pattern maker. Well, to make a pattern, at a minimum, it takes her 4 hours to generate it, and that's just in one size. And as we've already established, we cover many, many, many sizes.
Yeah.
So.
But for everything that you've done in the industry, 10 years, you started in one place and you built your empire to this level, and it will keep growing, of course. What are the sacrifices you've had to make to get to this point?
Well, I mean, certainly there are opportunities with family, with friends, opportunities to travel and do things that, I mean, I'll never forget. Liz and I had a show in Houston, and I passed up the opportunity to be in London for a whole week that was paid for by others. That I was sorry I missed out on that. But we had a show we'd committed to. And Liz is a mom with 3 small children, and I know part of what we're doing, and when I do shows, like I was gone all last week, it means I don't get to see her or my 3 kids. And Liz has to at times spend time away from her kids. In this instance, she gets to have Josie, but is missing out on time with the other 2.
I will say, my husband, I can think of Christmas Affair. Was it last year, 2 years ago, when my husband was bringing me a tiny baby to nurse. You know, in the middle of the show, because
this is a story. Hold on.
Was 2. I think it was. It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago with Violet.
Yeah.
Because she was really little.
Yeah.
And she was nursing, because I nurse all my children, and
in the middle of the show.
Well, no, fortunately they have. Fortunately, some of them
they
have
mothers' rooms, so
Yes.
you could go somewhere to nurse your baby. But I mean, you just make it work. I mean,
thank you, Liz. And this is why this works, because she made it work. Because some people would be like we were talking about.
We were talking about my sister, who's just had her first baby, and
congratulations!
I know. So we both have baby girls around the same age, which is fantastic. But she hasn't.
She left the house once.
She's left the house once.
Like where she got in a car and went somewhere. That wasn't a doctor. So I was asking.
I was telling my mom, I was like, I feel like I'm never home. But you just, you get used to it, and you make commitments, and you show up, and you just make it work.
See, this is what I love about being career women. We're like, hurdle, no problem. Strap on, baby. Baby coming too.
That's right. That's right.
I think with 10 years of lessons and a company on the rise, you have highs and you have lows. Has there been a moment where the both of you just said, we give up. I don't want to be a part of this industry anymore?
I do think that during the pandemic, it was really hard.
Yeah.
We have a loyal customer base, but when we'd reach out to them, they'd be like, Lisa, I'm not leaving my house.
Yeah.
Remember one professional, she's in financial services, because she was still talking to her clients. Of course, they wanted to know how their investments were doing. She's like, I wear the same black t-shirt every day, and I change my lipstick. That's what I do. So whatever else is going on, I feel like then coming out of the pandemic, we had the phase where everyone was used to being at home and really comfortable. I would say in 23 and certainly in 24, a lot more people have to be back in the office. A lot more folks are more client-facing or customer-facing. They're back out in the world again. But the pandemic was hard, and it was at that.
We also had 3 or 4 retailers that we lost.
Oh, we lost all, but in the whole state, we lost about 5 or 6 because the only retailers that were able to make it through the pandemic had been in business 30 or more years, because most of our retailers that were less than 10-year-olds, but like we had a retailer on 2nd Street that had been in business 7 years, their landlord still expected them to pay rent. And
Even
so 3 or 4 months into it, they just went, we're out of here. I think I know I'd mentioned once to someone, we had a retailer at 2 locations, had bought a bunch of our stuff. I mean, nobody knew everything. Nobody knew in December that things were going to shut down in March. She'd bought a bunch of our stuff. I want to say it was maybe November. Yeah. And she just sold whole cloth, her whole inventory to someone who then put it all and was selling. She bought from me cashmere jackets, wholesale price like $200, and that individual who bought it, put it online, was trying to sell cashmere jackets for $20. I bought up all the inventory of ours that she was selling at a hugely discounted price because she was diluting the value of our brand.
Well, wait a minute. So what you're saying is that for an Amberleaf, you're not going to put this out there on a clearance like you said, no, you're not going to discount my brand and ruin the reputation. I'd rather buy it all back.
And that's what I did. And I had one other retailer who was having a similar business struggles, massive clearance, and I just felt like she was selling garments for less money than I could make them for, so I bought them. I mean, they still, all these clothes I'm talking, they weren't used. They all still had the price tags on them. They had never been sold. But I must admit, when we were doing wholesale, you give me your order, I take 50%, I make the delivery, you pay me the rest. So I did get my money back. And then if you turn around, but this honestly was really only during those very uncertain times.
Right.
I mean, it hasn't happened since. And I know this may sound really nudgy, but I also look at resale sites like Poshmark, et cetera, for my brand, just to see what, if someone's selling my product, what is it they're selling? What don't they like anymore? And we bought it a few times, but as of late, I would say in the past 9 months to a year, I haven't seen anything. I think we saw people trying to liquidate their closets when they weren't going anywhere during the pandemic, but that's not happening. That's all dried up. And yeah, we bought those back too. We don't like our brand being diluted.
And when we came out of the pandemic, I'm sure people were wearing cashmere wool coats and full length down the aisle looking for canned peas. I'm quite sure.
Might have been. They were warm and looking pretty fine. Yeah.
Well, over the years, you've learned a lot of lessons. You were at one place and you started. If you had a time machine and you can go back and say, okay, mother-daughter design team, if I could go back to day one, what would I tell myself? What would Liz tell her younger self? What would Lisa tell her younger self 10 years ago?
About the business?
About starting the business.
I would probably say kind of where we've come to now. I would say do it earlier. Ditch the dresses and focus 100% on the blazers and the coats and streamline. I think one thing I've noticed from watching other brands who have a really important story and who, have a message that they want to get across, they have, 4 or 5 really strong designs that they push that you can. It's a very simple, streamlined process experience, and it's customizable where you can pick the color, you can pick the size, you can do all of these things, but there's no confusion and there's no people get anxious about having too many choices.
Right.
So I would probably go back in time and say streamline the experience, streamline the designs, offer these specific colors, and just push the story and push the product, but keep it as simple and clean as possible. I think looking back to when we started, we had just so many designs, so many dresses and so many coats and so many blazers, and I think that when you would go to the consumer, you would talk to a customer in person, they would get just completely overwhelmed by the options. And I think that our story and our sales definitely would have been better if we had come to this conclusion earlier. I think that as a small business, having just a very clean, simple, concise message and product is what's going to get you to where you want to go. That's my opinion.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say to old Liz or young Liz.
In your time machine trip, you would say?
What? Wow, learned a lot. There's some some really good technology available to us, and I probably would have made those investments sooner, and maybe would have streamlined, to Liz's point, streamlined some things at our production facility. So in China, when we're in Chengdu, China, where all this work is happening, maybe made some inroads there or done some things differently there. But that would have required, it would help if I spoke Mandarin.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, yes. I do have iTranslate on my phone, and I spend a lot of time looking at iTranslate and also looking at currency converters as well, because that's a part of it.
That's handy tools.
Well, I need to be able to, A, communicate with folks that are making these clothes for us, but B, I have to understand the financial obligations of the decisions we make related to production and options. And I mean, as Liz knows, all of our design stuff, we have to keep in mind what our capabilities are. I mean, there's some notions and things that people add or things that people want to do, you see trending, But if we don't have the wherewithal to do that, or we don't have access to those, or we can't select some buttons and closures that cost more than the actual fabric does. So
Right.
we have to keep all of that in mind when we're making these decisions. But I've been really blessed to get to work with Liz. I think at times I know, what does my tagline say for Instagram? I'm in business with my daughter, who I occasionally drive crazy. 100% I do that. And there's a reason why she's in charge of all the social media and the technology stuff, because I get frustrated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've changed her password probably about 54 times.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a lot. You do
It
you.
happens a lot.
Thanks, Liz. You do
Liz, I
you.
can't remember my password. No, of course you can't. You know, so,
Well, I don't have to because Liz does.
well, you know,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Those
whatever.
are true mother-daughter moments.
They are true mother-daughter. They are true mother-daughter moment.
That's okay.
So as we wrap up, what would you both like to tell our viewers?
Well,
You go
don't.
first.
Okay.
Okay.
Number one, it's really awesome and a blessing to work with your family. I'm so blessed to get to work with Liz. It is a joy. She's smart. She's capable. I mean, obviously she's really beautiful, but it is my honor to get to work with her and have a reason for her to be together, to interact in a business sense, not just a family sense. I know for some folks that also can come with strife, but I think all the wonderful goodness outweighs the bad. So working with family is a good thing. And I think the other challenge at times can be for some folks, being out there in public facing and interacting with people is not always easy sometimes. Mostly though, I would say 99% of the times, it's hugely rewarding to get to be a part of someone's life journey and to get them to be a part of them feeling beautiful about themselves or special, whether it's everyday moments or special moments like a wedding like we discussed. That's pretty magical.
Do you want me to talk to you or talk over there?
Viewers.
Viewers. I would say, if I could give any advice, everything is sales. Everything. Whether you're meeting someone at a bus stop, or you're interacting with somebody at the grocery store, or you're, selling cashmere coats with your mother. Everything is about interpersonal relationships and listening, confidence, and sales. How you can sell not only your product, but also, your story, where you come from, who you are, what you're passionate about. People buy things from people that they like. People invest in other people that they believe in. And so I think the most important thing that I've learned from being in business, not only having the wonderful opportunity to work with my mom, but being in a front-facing business and working with customers and talking to people on a daily basis, is making sure that I'm expressing my story and the story behind the business in a way that resonates with other people, that they can pick up on, and that they believe in and that they want to support. Because at the end of the day, your business will not survive if it does not have customers, and if it doesn't have people who are willing to invest in you. So I think that's probably the most important thing to know and to learn. Learn how to do. Be confident and walk into every situation like you own the room. So there you go.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. And just know, the fashion industry is a mountain of challenges. But remember, when you make it to the top, it was worth every stitch. And as I like to say, a smile is always in style. Keep it fashionable.